its first contact with the Romulans, but who would have thought meeting Romulans for the first time would have been chock full of mines? But there's one more thing I'm much more concerned about, like, will Malcom and Archer ever finish breakfast? That's what we're going to get into. I'm Josh.
I'm Justin.
And this is From There to Here.
For the first time, for the last time.
Okay, so on the IMDb, this is what it's officially about. The safety of Enterprise rests on Reed's shoulders when the ship becomes trapped in a Romulan minefield and Romulan ships are closing in on them. On the IMDb, this is also rated a 7.4 out of 1,700 votes. I think that's kind of low, actually.
Say that again?
It's rated a 7.4.
I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I think it's much better than that. So, why is that? What's wrong with you, Internet?
Well, I guess
what do you have?
We'll talk about
What
that.
do you have, Justin?
Let's see. According to Wikipedia, developing the episode, they decided Malcolm Reed would be the best character to try and pin down both literally and figuratively. Also, skipping down a bit, I'll sum this up. At first, it was just going to be an unknown species, but the Romulans were suggested at one point to be the mysterious aliens, and it seemed like a perfect fit for the story, as the aliens needed to be unhelpful and unwilling to cooperate.
Okay.
Should
have
and
been
there's
given
more.
from the get-go. It was going to be Romulans then.
And there's more. Captain Kirk in the original series was credited as the first human to look a Romulan eye to eye, so Rick Berman was careful not to contradict that, and the Romulans remained unseen throughout the episode. Nonetheless, the introduction of Romulan cloaking technology 100 years before James T. Kirk and the Federation outposts would encounter it, something Mr. Spock only theorized was possible, is considered a clear canon violation. And also, they also thought it was important to recognize that the ship had in fact been badly damaged and not simply have the ship repaired the next time we see them the next week, leading to the following episode, Dead Stop.
Right.
So lots of little stuff.
I don't mind about little canon infractions.
Who cares?
No, it doesn't bother me.
I mean, sure.
A small one, it doesn't,
100 years.
bother me.
I mean, cloaking technology is kind of a big deal, but
I'm willing to forgive a little canon infraction for a good story,
well,
for a good episode.
it's only, I mean, and I say this acknowledging that the books and all that have a different canon, but in the context of the show, all we get is that one little line that Spock theorized, oh, it could have been done by this cloaking technology, whatever. It's like what they said with Star Trek 3, or with Star Trek 2, I should say. With Star Trek 2, The Search for Spock, Harv Bennett said, we'll just have Spock do this thing. He'll touch McCoy's head and he'll say, remember. And he basically said, any writer worth his salt can figure out a way to do something with that. You know, so bottom line, I think a line like that given by Spock in the original series can be written away by saying, oh, well, he was wrong. They actually have the technology, but Romulans are so secretive, no one knew about it. They just hadn't attacked anybody yet. So let it go, is all I'm saying. Let it go.
Well, it sounded like you kind of jumped through a lot of mental hoops to justify it to yourself.
It took more time to explain it than it took me to think about it.
That's fair.
It was done in a millisecond.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, moving on. So we both agree that this definitely should have been ranked better than a 7 point.
I think this episode's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very fast paced, but it's a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been blessed with 3 good episodes in a row now.
Yeah, we're on a roll.
Season 2 is definitely picking up.
Yeah.
From the rather
uneven.
I wouldn't say season 1 was lackluster. There was some good season 1 episodes.
But it was uneven.
Yes, from the unevenness of season 1. Things I'd like to bring up right off the bat before I forget. You noticed right away. I noticed right away. The colors seem much more vibrant.
They appeared to be.
And we've made a point of this. I don't know how many times of how bland the show is. And we're not speaking tonally.
We're talking visually.
Visually bland. And we noticed the blues were punched up.
Punchier.
Yeah. And the blues of their uniform we're referring to. But also I noticed, and I don't know if you noticed, and maybe it's something that did happen in season 1, Maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but it seemed like they were playing around with light a lot more. Like there was a lot of shadows, like on the bridge when they were talking with the Romulans. When in the second act, when things were getting a bit more dire.
I honestly can't say I noticed, but that doesn't mean it's there. I was a little spacey.
It seemed like they ditched the even lighting in a good amount of scenes to add some of that texture.
Oh, good.
And
good.
I was very pleased.
Well,
by
in the
it.
next episode, I'll definitely have to. Pay
I hope it's
for
just
that.
not an outlier.
I hope not.
I hope it continues.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. But this is a Malcolm episode.
Well, it's an Archer episode too. It's both.
It's mostly Malcolm though.
It's definitely
It's Archer wanting to get to know Malcolm.
Yeah.
The whole episode begins with they're sitting down to have breakfast, and for what he wants to get to know him. And this has been planned for a little while. It gets interrupted because they run into a mine. Hence, this is the start of our episode, and they're in a Romulan minefield. He goes out there to save him. They talk. They get to know each other. I thought setting that up in the beginning was a good stroke.
Yeah.
Lesser writers may not have even included an element like that where they were interrupted, and they would have to pick up the conversation later while trying to disarm a mine. And also, I don't know if you made a connection to a movie.
Oh.
I did. It's kind of a loose connection, but did it not remind you of Executive Decision? The mine. They're trying to disarm it while one of them is injured.
I did not draw that.
You know what part of the movie I'm talking about, don't you?
It's John Leguizamo. His back is broken or something.
No, it's not John Leguizamo. It's no, he's black.
Oh, it's Miles Dyson.
Yes, Miles Bennett Dyson.
Yes.
I forget the actor's name. Good actor.
But his name will forever to me be Miles Bennett
Dyson. But yeah, Miles Dyson, aka
a good actor. Yes.
Good actor we can't remember the name of.
Yeah, I remember. He was on his back.
He's
and
injured.
Sweating
he can't
profusely.
Move. He can't move. He's too injured to move. They have him
they have him completely
in a stretcher, immobilized. There you go. Thank you. And then what's his face?
John Leguizamo?
No, John Leguizamo, the guy with the straw.
With the straw.
He was in Bicentennial Man.
Who was he in Bicentennial?
The doctor who helps him become human.
Yes. Porthos?
Yes, Porthos from Three Musketeers. Another actor we can't remember the name of right now.
You mean Porthos, of course.
I got this sash from the Queen of America.
There's no Queen of America.
You little pimple.
You calling me a liar?
Meet me in such and bring a long wooden box. Okay, enough of that nonsense. Right. Those two guys work together to disable the bomb in the belly of the plane. Anyway, so it reminded me of that. That's a very long story short. That's what it was. Clearly, it did not come to your mind.
The scene in Executive Decision with Porthos and Miles Bennett Dyson.
Yes, to put it that way.
While John Leguizamo did something else on the plane. Yes.
Yes, he was too busy being a badass in that movie.
He was a badass in that movie.
He was. Yes, he was. But I thought this episode was great. I thought it was... what I felt like was that with season 2, maybe before they got started, maybe there was a memo sent out from the producers, from the executives to the writers.
It was 3 words. Spice it up.
Make it better. I think spice it up. I think what they were doing here was what we've been wanting them to do, which was, this is a prequel. Yeah. We want to see how they're going to eventually evolve into what Kirk will be. Mm-hmm. We saw that with the Romulans, but also we're developing Malcolm's character.
Yes.
Perfect. Honestly, we did not explore Malcolm's character or any other character enough to where we actually want to care about them. I mean, we did learn what his favorite food was. It's pineapple.
Yes, pineapple.
That wasn't enough. That was a long time ago too.
Yeah, we moved on. But this is to me kind of that funny roller coaster with Malcolm. In one scene, he'll be kind of goofy and light, and the next, he's super serious.
Yes, I wrote that down.
You just never know which Malcolm you're going to get that day.
I wrote that down in my notes, listeners, all 2 of you out there, because sometimes I like to take notes while we watch these things. And I put in there, while Malcolm is impaled and he's stuck, and Archer's out there and he's trying to get the mine disabled. They're talking about things on the bridge getting too lax. Mm-hmm. Malcolm brings that up.
Right.
And I thought, Malcolm, aren't you the one that built a snowman You know what I mean?
And drew a happy face on it
It's like, I don't know.
before you blew it up
It's like, is this the same Malcolm the writers were writing in the first season?
in 2 days and 2 nights that was trying to
Yes.
get some
It's like,
alien business?
Well, they were on vacation.
I get it.
He
but
wasn't when he was building the snowman. That was official.
That was official business.
That was official business.
And he was the man in charge at that
He was.
time.
He was like, hey, he told his subordinate, hey, let's have some fun.
yeah. So they can't quite seem to make up their mind who Malcolm is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to the actor's credit, whenever Malcolm goes to one of those extremes, I buy it, but it's mainly because of the actor. But if you really kind of think about it, it's a little inconsistent, and I think that's the problem. And I think I talked about this 1 or 2 episodes ago, that this series I think suffers from that problem of just trying to fill checkbox holes of who the cast needs to be. Well, we need an engineer. We need a guy that'll shoot the guns. We need a guy to do this. But they kind of forgot to give them a personality and not.
So you think they're trying to make that up now?
I think they're trying to make it up, but I think they're doing. The relationship between Archer, Trip, and DePaul is very defined, and we know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, they've done a very good job defining that so far.
oh yeah, well they ripped it off. It's the original series.
Trip has become decidedly less petulant.
Yes, he has. He's still speaking up when he shouldn't. You know, but
you know what I liked about
he's McCoy.
I liked what they did with Trip in this episode. They let him get dirty.
Yeah, I know. I like that.
That was good.
I was going
nice
to comment.
touch. I mean,
on that.
we mean physically dirty.
Yes, yes. But I think when it comes to the rest of the cast, they're with the exception of Phlox, I think they kind of, up until this point, I would say, kind of are crafting those characters as the plot needs. So, you know, the plot needs a funny moment, and it's going to be Malcolm out there doing the blowing up on the mine, on the asteroid. Well, he's going to make a funny. It just depends. You know, they need an innocent person. They put Hoshi in there, even though a few episodes before she seems to have mastered stuff. I think they're still working it out.
She mastered the art of seducing the locals on Risa.
Yeah, she figured that out. But you know, it's not a super big complaint, but it is something I've been noticing that they're still finding their way with some of these characters.
Well, we're only 3 episodes into the second season.
Yeah, but we are a whole second season into the series.
Well, have you noticed anything like that in the second season so far?
No, but I think that's mainly because Shockwave was Archer's episode and resolving that, and then Carbon Creek was, I mean,
T'Pol.
That wasn't even T'Pol. I mean, that was a completely different episode.
But it was T'Pol.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean. It was all characters completely removed from the show.
Isn't that amazing when an episode like that can work?
Oh yeah.
Like this morning, I was watching It's Only a Paper Moon.
Yeah.
I love that episode.
Well, who doesn't?
It's so good.
It's
and
excellent.
It's so underrated. And the performances in there are so good. It's so heartfelt, and it's a forgotten 7th season episode for the most part. But it's no principal. I mean, they're in there.
Well, yeah, but it's not about any principal.
But it's you're right. It's not about anything.
It's a Nog episode.
Yeah, it is. And Vic.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at that point, I would certainly argue that Nog had become a regular character on the show, as much as Garrick is a regular character, even though he's not on the main cast list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with you. Phenomenal episode, and you know, I wish we got more like that. And I agree, Carbon Creek falls right into that lucky camp of episodes.
What did you think about the premise of the Minefield?
I think it was a good one.
I think that was fair.
Oh yeah.
I think they could have spiced it up more, maybe increase the pace.
Maybe increase the pace. Yeah, I think
because mines, they do nothing but sit there unless you interact with them.
I know
so.
It's not the episode's fault, but you know,
yes,
are you?
I don't know where you're going. You're gonna pick on it. I could tell.
No, I'm not gonna pick on it.
Okay.
As the what's his name? Who's the helmsman?
Oh,
Mayweather.
Mayweather. Yes.
As Mayweather is using his joystick to fly the ship out.
Right.
I could not help, one bit,
Galaxy
think of Galaxy Quest.
You got to move over.
You got to move over, and then dong. You know, I'm not saying necessarily hit more mines on the way out because they were obviously very destructive.
I really thought they were going to hit one.
Yeah, maybe hit a little one, or something. Have a little bit of damage, something. Maybe the Romulans just to kind of because at the end they're charging their weapons, they're targeting the thing. They're basically like, get out right now. Maybe the Romulans could nudge a few and get them to blow up in sequence, and freak them out.
Or maybe they intentionally target a mine that's close, but not like attached to them.
Something like that. Yeah. I agree. To raise the stakes a little bit more at that point, because the Romulans are not really doing anything. It's kind of all talk at that point.
It is, but they do use them well.
Yes, they do. And I'm not saying the episode suffered.
And I hate having to admit this because I hate fan wank, but seeing those Romulan ships is so cool. I know.
You know what I wish they had done?
What?
Because I don't know if you remember the original series, how its weapons worked.
I don't know. I guess not.
There's a little weapons port at the front of the main
of the Romulan
section
ship.
of the Romulan ship. Yeah. Okay. And it lights up, and then this ball.
Oh yeah.
Shoots out.
Yeah.
Maybe like right there before the Enterprise takes off, have both of those, because there was 2 Romulan ships. Have both of those little weapons ports. You're like, oh, they are so toast. And then boom. Maybe not. I know maybe it's too dramatic to have them shoot and the Enterprise warp away and just miss. Like Star Trek 5. But just have them powering up and like, we know where that's going. And then the Enterprise is gone.
That would have been a nice callback, or
just
call
a little
forward.
Call sideways.
Call sideways. That would have been nice. I thought maybe if they were tempted to increase the action of the show. And I don't know what, off the top of my head, and if you want to go into the writer's room right now, other than a minefield, what else could we really have done?
I wouldn't have changed,
without it being, because they can't meet eye to eye.
No.
So
I wouldn't change the minefield. I think the minefield is a perfect way to do it because it's faceless. Given maybe this. Given that, no, that won't work. And I'll let you know where I'm going. So, because the minefield, other than the mine that actually hit part of the ship and blew up and then got stuck to it, the minefield itself kind of really didn't ratchet things up. I'll be honest, Mayweather steering out of the minefield didn't really
do anything for me
tension wise.
Well, because we just said he didn't hit anything,
and they're going to get out,
right?
So, and the Romulans aren't doing anything. So maybe if they just hit one and were disabled, and then the Romulan ships appear, and they're simply saying leave now, but they're saying we're broken, we can't.
Yeah,
and it's just a waiting game, and they're sitting, and this, as I was. What I think and that way, because you can, with the minefield there, the Romulans are naturally going to keep their distance because they don't want to get too close to the mines. But if they had just stumbled upon one random mine and there were no more around, right? But the ship was disabled enough to where they couldn't warp away, whether Malcom was on there or not. The Romulan ships could have decloaked like so close that Archer and Malcom could see the deck plating, and they could be like, okay, that's a big ship. Like, we're in trouble, guys.
That would have been,
just to make it fun. Really imposing and impressive. And then they could back off, but they wanted to do that as a show of like, we're on you so much right now. Like, do you know how much trouble you're in? I think that would have been interesting, or since obviously this whole episode is a precursor to Kirk running into them. I know it's not the first time he runs into Romulans, but of course one of the famous Trek episodes is the Enterprise incident from season 3, where they're famously sitting there in space and then 3 Romulan ships. They are surrounded. What if they had done that and make it where they're surrounded and it's just a waiting game? How long are the Romulans going to give the Enterprise to make their repairs before they just open fire and shoot?
If anything, I would say that is something I would change.
Yeah.
If I were to.
All the content on the ship was fine.
That was fine. What I mean is that I felt that the Romulans weren't intimidating enough.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that they were giving the Enterprise way too much leeway. I mean,
I agree. That's
as Good Samaritans, they gave them nothing. But I mean, yeah, they gave them too much time to get away.
Plenty of time.
And I think that in order to ratchet up the tension, they should have made their intentions clear. Give them, I mean, Khan gave them 60 seconds. Give them 60 seconds.
For
make
you
it
and
fast.
Your gallant crew.
Yeah, make it fast. Make whatever they have to do in the episode, make it to be where it's a split-second decision.
Yeah.
They had time to get hull plating out there. Not hull plating. It was, what did they bring out there with them? When they detached the hull plating from the ship, they brought...
the shuttle pod, like, doors.
Yeah, to protect themselves from the blast. They had time to get all that out there. Like, the Romulans were giving them a lot of time. And the Romulans had already warned them. So...
Okay.
It felt like an empty threat at that point.
No, I agree. That's why I
felt like
I
was like, well, they gave them warning shots earlier in the episode, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, and you see it fly over.
And they say, that was really close. I was like, they're not kidding. I was like, then they should have done something more after that.
Okay.
To let them know that the threat was real.
All right, I got it.
Okay.
Writer's room. Okay. So, let's say they're not in a minefield. They're going to check out a planet that they don't know. Pretty much the same premise that the Romulans have claimed, but that they're going in there and they hit an old mine or something that'll blow up, right? Stuck to the ship. And as they get out there, Malcolm's out there alone and he's got this thing through his leg, just how it plays out, just no minefield. Then the Romulan ships appear. And they immediately not a whole lot of issue with figuring out the language. Make that fast. Hoshi figures it out fast, and the directive is leave immediately, or we're going to shoot. And we give you 5 minutes, let's say, and let's say on minute 4, Hoshi decodes it, figures it out, and goes, "Sir, we have 1 minute left. They're going to open fire."
Yeah.
Cut to all 3 ships are surrounding the Enterprise, just like the Enterprise incident. Their little weapons port. And before Archer has ever gone out to help Malcolm, he says, "Malcolm, I'm sorry." And he says, "Engage warp drive. Get us out." And he has to make a decision. He has 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And he decides he's got to do it to save everyone else. And the Malcolm sitting out on the saucer section, they had that cool shot where they're right in front of the warp nacelles. He sees them powering up, and you see him even do like a holy cross thing, like he's gonna die, like they're gonna go to warp and he's dead. And you see Archer sitting in the chair hanging his head, and he's like, "My God, I just killed him," but then right there you hear, "Sir, wait a minute, we're sitting on another mine," or something, anything that makes it where if they move, they will blow up and the explosion will be so big that it would take the Romulans with them. In other words, the Romulans cease fire, and they tell them, "Okay, you have 1 hour, and then we're backing up and we're going to roast you."
Okay, I liked everything about that, except for the fact that you gave them 1 hour.
Okay, well, take over.
Okay, well,
that's Act 1.
Oh, that's only Act 1?
That's Act 1.
I thought that could be at least Act 2.
No, man, I think fast, keeping the tension up.
You want that to happen right in the beginning?
Yeah, okay. I want that to be like, oh my God, you're going to sit with that the rest of the episode. That, I think that Archer was going to kill him.
Another modification I would make. It was good. Okay, if we go with opening act, that's the opening act.
No, first act. Sorry.
Yes. Okay, so if we go with that as our first act.
Okay.
I think that I would change. You said 1 minute left, and then Archer says, we have to go to warp.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Let it come down to the wire. It's going to come down to like the last second.
Well, sure. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking like it's the last possible second.
Okay, it's going to come down to the last second.
But he gives the order.
But he does. I like that he was going to have to sacrifice Malcolm.
Yeah, I just mean Archer has 1 minute to decide.
I got it.
Yeah.
That still might be too much time.
Well, that would feel like an eternity,
Yeah, in terms of show standards, I think maybe like 15 seconds. Make it fast.
Okay, sure.
Make it very fast.
Sure, we have 30 seconds. But I think seeing the weapons ports light up, like this is imminent, know.
How would they know, though? How would the Romulans know that if they blow up Enterprise, that it's going to blow them up too? Because you said they were going to hit another mine.
I don't know. I'm just saying there would need to be something in place, and I don't know what. Something that if the Romulans fired on Enterprise, the result would be they themselves would be hurt. I don't know what that would be. Maybe maybe the Romulans didn't. Maybe there is a minefield. Maybe the Romulans didn't realize that. And they realize that if they fire on Enterprise, they're going to cause a chain reaction, which is going to blow them up too. So maybe they realize, well, we can still blow you up, but we have to do it differently, so they have a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all I'm saying is something that makes them stop to where they cannot physically do it without risk to themselves.
Okay,
I'm saying.
Okay, then have the Enterprise crew not know why the Romulans suddenly powered down. Right, just as they were about to hit warp.
Okay.
You could have T'Pol say, they're powering, Captain, they're powering down. It's, cut the warp drive now.
Cut the warp drive, yeah, exactly. Yes, sir.
Their mains are back online.
I know.
You have that moment. Yeah. And they cut the warp engine just before it's about to go.
Yeah.
And then it's silent. It's quiet for a moment, and everyone's kind of looking at each other. They're not sure what happened. And then they'll start.
And then there's that moment from Star Trek 3, only it'll be on the Enterprise, where someone goes, why haven't they finished this?
They outnumbered me 10-1. Outgunned me, whatever. I think that then
maybe they have prisoners. No, something's gone. I trust my instincts.
And then I think leave it hanging where they can see the Romulans on the viewer. They're not hailing them, but they're powered down. They don't know why. And then Archer could ask T'Pol,
why did they stop?
Why did they stop? What do you? And she could. I think that in that moment she would have to run sensors again and find something. That they
she would determine whatever it is,
and that it was a larger mine, that's beneath them or something like that, and said
like that. Yeah.
This would kill them too. I think this must be why they stopped. Then, the Romulans could then hail and say, not explaining anything.
Oh, I got it. Okay. What if while approaching this planet, there's a little space station up in orbit. They don't know what kind, like some sort of odd station. They can't figure it out. And it just so happens that whether it was a mine, whatever it is they hit that has damaged Enterprise, if T'Pol realizes that the mine that, that Malcom is stuck with, that if the Romulans blow that up, then the resulting explosion will destroy this station, whatever's in there, it's valuable.
Their station.
Something like that. Yeah. In other words, like they can't just back up and shoot. Like it's a little too technically difficult, so they got a problem. Maybe even Enterprise could realize, oh, look, one of those Romulan ships has locked a tractor beam onto that thing and they're slowly pulling it away. We have this much time till it reaches this much distance, and the other two are still trained on them, ready to shoot. Something like that.
Sure. I mean, as long as there's some kind of delay.
I like that it's visual. It would be something they could see. They're like, okay, we've got till this point,
Okay. So as long as there's a credible delay.
Yeah,
to where the
credible
Romulans
delay is all I'm trying to get at.
Did not blow them up immediately. Fine. So then they have less time than they have in the episode.
Yeah.
Less than an hour, which is what you initially suggested.
Okay, sure,
to go out and to save Malcom.
Yeah, they realize they have like 30 minutes. Like, get out there.
30 minutes. That's fine. What did you think about Archer? Would you replace him with another character?
No. I would say at this point, with our hypothetical story change, at this point, as far as Archer's concerned, because they know they have Enterprise has an out. They can hit warp drive and get out. They have an out. They can't do it because of Malcom. So at this point, Archer knows that all anyone has to do on the bridge is say engage and they're safe. But at this point, this is, does Malcom die or does he not? So he's going to go out there because at this point he's feeling a little smidge guilty, because he was about to kill him earlier. So he's got to go out there. There's no reason not to. He's not going to endanger anyone else. He knows that anyone outside that ship.
Well, I think we missed a beat there. I think we forgot to say that before they went to warp, they would have to jettison the hull plating first.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I'm just saying we forgot to mention that part.
Sure.
Going to warp with it, the mine's still attached, isn't going to do anything. They're still going to die. They would have to detach him first.
I don't want that. I want him to be physically stuck to the ship when they go to warp, and he's going to die on the surface of the ship.
Yeah, but the mine
somehow.
is attached to the ship.
I get it. Maybe there's like a technical way we could somehow do it. I don't know. I just like the idea that he's not going to be left behind and potentially captured. He's going to die on the surface of that ship when they go to warp. I realize the mine being stuck there presents that problem. But if there's some way to work that out, I just like the idea that he's going to be stuck to the ship and going to warp is what will kill him, not jettisoning him.
Okay, what if before this moment happened, they worked out a last ditch procedure where Archer asked Trip, he's like, well, let's say if we don't have a choice and are we able to go to warp? What can we do? Because
the mine won't necessarily go off if they go to warp.
Okay,
right?
let me rephrase that. I think it would, because going to warp would destabilize it.
Sure,
I think it would just blow up. He said, "Well, what are our options?" Because, we can't let it destroy the whole ship. And he would say, "Well, if we warp out of here, Captain, it would detonate, but it
won't destroy the whole ship.
But if we target our phasers on it the moment we go to warp." Because of the speed we're going at, we'll escape the blast.
That's not bad. Not bad.
Okay, so
we know it's not going to happen.
That way we can still keep it on the ship, though.
Okay, sure. That's good. So
work in some techno babble to make it convincing.
so now for Act 2, Archer, that they've been saved for a little bit. They know because if they can see what the Romulans are doing. They know they have 30 minutes. So Act 2, Archer gets out there onto the hull. And he's trying to separate him. At this point, let's say disarming the bomb is not, 30 minutes is not enough time. So what is Archer's goal when he gets out there?
Like his goal was never to disarm the bomb.
Well, he goes out there to look at it, but he's got to realize 30 minutes is not enough time.
Mm-hmm.
What's he going to do? What happens now?
Okay, so he goes out there. He can't disarm.
He could look at disarming it, but he realizes it's not going to work.
Well, I think anyone's immediate idea would be, well, I've got to cut this thing off the hull somehow.
Right.
Which is something they tried doing, but Malcom says, well, the firing mechanisms are also
detonators in
the legs too. So if we do that, it's just going to set it off. But he ends up doing it anyway in the actual episode. That's how he frees Malcom.
Yeah. Because he realizes when he accidentally almost triggered it earlier that it was going to take about 20 seconds for it to actually detonate. So he knew from the first cut he had 20 seconds to push them away.
Okay, that's that line of dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before they pulled the lethal weapon.
Well, they
2
were
and
lethal weapon 2.
Okay, this is pure CO2. I'm going to hit this
bathtub.
thing. That'll give you a good 10 seconds. Get behind that tub. That's a good porcelain
cast iron
tub.
It's a good old-fashioned cast iron tub. It will withstand a hell of a blast.
That's right.
So do we go on 3 or 1, 2, 3, then go? Oh, it's your ass, go cheese. You choose.
Okay, let's practice. 1, 2, 3.
Aren't you gonna miss this when you retire?
Hey man, I just want to say it. I know. What a good scene.
Okay. Could they have had a moment like that? No, they're not close enough.
Well, the problem now is that one element of the existing story that we like is the interplay between Archer and Malcom, which now in our little sped up version doesn't really offer a whole lot of time for that.
That's true.
Unless in that 30 minutes, Archer could still be trying to defuse it or whatever, disarm it. It's not going to work. So maybe it's more pushing that Malcom saying, "Sir, I was ready. Just get out of here. There's no way you're going to do this." And I like the business of him trying to pull his oxygen out. He's like, "I'll make this decision for you then," and he tries to himself and
Mission to Mars reference.
I know. I like that. And then Archer has to stop trying to disarm it so he can get over there and plug his air back in and all that. And that was good. So, maybe they could have some of that, but get to it faster, get to the guts.
I would
faster.
hope so, because I do like some of the dialogue they have.
Maybe they could have skipped some of the and about security. I think you could have tightened up. Maybe it could have just been, hey, you seemed uncomfortable this morning. Sir, is this really the time to talk about that? Can you think of anything else to talk about? I hope we get through this.
This might be because of the way I'm wired. Okay. And I admit I'm not wired very well. I think I don't like when people I work with try to get to know me intentionally. I find it very annoying. And that's exactly what Archer was doing with Malcom. I see right through it. It's very transparent. When they start asking me about my interests, I'm like, when they never have before, I'm like, okay, what's your deal?
What do you want? You don't want to raise?
What do you want from me?
Want to shift off?
Why do you suddenly care? Are you trying? What are you afraid that I don't like you? Is that it? I mean, I could tell you right now, I probably don't. So, I mean, if that's what you're worried about, now you know. So now you can just cut the act. So, like, stop pretending. So I have a big problem with that. That's why I'm kind of on the side of Malcom here, where when he mentions like, oh, things on the bridge have gotten kind of lax. I'm like, oh, they probably have. Because if Archer is acting like that with his crew, I wouldn't. I would imagine, that's how things would be. I think it's kind of a very progressive thing to do. I don't mean this
be friends with you.
I don't mean this is a slight against that kind of philosophy, but I mean,
you mean like how on Strange New Worlds, Pike has everyone on the bridge refer to each other by their first names.
Things like that.
He doesn't go, hey, Lieutenant something. He'll go, hey, Barbara, can we go to warp now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, I was thinking of more of along the lines of like, tell me more about yourself. What do you care about? Like, what are your passions? I'm like, okay, enough. Can we just do our job,
He
please?
literally did that on Discovery before Strange New World started. When he took over the ship, he got on the bridge and he goes, all right, guys, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to get to know you a little bit. He said, we're going to go around the room. Just like when you're in school and the teacher makes you say something, he goes, tell me your name and something you like. Don't tell me your rank because that doesn't matter. He literally, in a military organization.
If it doesn't matter, then why do we have it?
He says, don't tell me your rank because that doesn't matter. And then they go around, oh, my name's Barbara. I'm the helmsman. I like potatoes, whatever. and he goes around the room and he does the same thing on the Enterprise on Strange New Worlds, only he already knows them, but they all go by first names.
You see what I mean? It's about building connections.
Yeah.
Because you can't do your job unless you think that your superior officer what?
Unless you feel like you're liked.
Oh, liked. Yeah. Right. Or unless you feel like, oh, your superior officer appreciates you. How about you just do it for yourself?
How about do your job?
How about just do it for your own sense of accomplishment, fulfillment? Like, why do you need that? And I never needed that, so I find it very annoying. I hate it.
It's like that scene in Mad Men where Don Draper hired Peggy, where Don had hired Peggy from the secretary pool, recognizing that she had talent, hired her on as an ad person, working with all the men and all that. And at one point, this is after a couple of years, she kind of breaks down to him one day and she's like, you're so mean all the time. And he goes,
get out of here.
And he goes, so what? What are you talking about? And she goes, and he goes, what are you talking about? I gave you a job. Like, I actually thought enough of you to hire you onto my team. Doesn't that tell you I like you?
Quit your belly aching.
And all that. And she goes, you never say thank you. And he says, that's what the money is for.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's how the scene ends. He does not apologize for being the boss.
Right.
And she realizes he will never apologize for that. So stop crying about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Don't make it personal, because for me, it's not.
I know.
It's so annoying. And I'm sure I'm not the only person in America that feels this way. It sounds like you're on my side.
Well, not exactly. I'm somewhere in between.
Like, get the hell out of here then. What the hell do I need you for?
I think you're slightly on the extreme side.
Me extreme? What
I think you would fit in very well on a Klingon vessel.
Oh, come on.
And I, like, me personally, honestly, answer me this. If you were a serving Starfleet officer, what captain would you want to serve under the most based on their command style? Who would you want to serve under?
Oh my God.
I know it's kind of loaded.
Okay, not Janeway. Definitely not.
Well, you couldn't offer any opinions.
Would not work for a woman ever.
Oh my God. They don't have the emotional temperament for command.
Well, they don't. And they gossip too
I
much.
was joking, but you're quite serious.
I'm joking. Come on.
They gossip too much. Could you imagine her going around the bridge like shouldering up to Tuvok? Hey, did you hear what Ensign Kim did the other day? He farted in the mess hall. What a pig. Pass it on.
Okay, so what captain? That's a tough call because Sisko, Kirk, Picard, I mean they're all great captains.
But very different. Picard to me seems like more your attitude of command and style. When Picard's on the bridge, do you think Riker's telling jokes? Probably not.
I don't know. I mean, I admire a badass like Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
But I also admire a reserved captain like Picard.
Mm-hmm.
Sisko, I don't know how to classify Sisko. He is a badass,
Obviously,
but he can be cool too.
Very. I mean, he cooks for his senior staff. But when that dude lays down the law, there's no question he's in charge.
Yeah, and he doesn't play this "I want to get to know you" nonsense.
He does, but
not as obviously as Archer just did.
But when he does it,
all.
I think he does it very naturally. Like when he invites everyone and he's cooking for them, it's casual, you know?
I think I'd probably want to, man, this is a tough call. I guess I'd have to pick Picard. I mean, I would want to work with all of them, but I mean, if I had to,
had to pick one.
Gun to my head, I'd pick Picard, I guess.
Okay.
What about you?
Gun to my head, I'd probably go with Sisko because I feel like Sisko is what he would create the environment that I'd want to work in, where when it's serious time, he's serious and he means it. And I feel like he'd protect me as the captain. But I also feel like when there's no stakes, when it's just Tuesday, you know, I feel like you could go up to him and chat with him, you know, and, you know, I'm not saying he'll shoot it with you all day, but I feel like he'll just be a guy with you, you know, but he will still maintain that he is the captain. Like none of this, you can call me Ben stuff, but he's accessible. Like I dig that he knows about, you know, O'Brien's daughter, you know, I forget what episode it was where, and it was a moment, but it was where Jake was starting to date the Dabo girl. And yeah. And Sisko was like, she is older than my son. That's a woman. And my son's a boy. And he invites her over to dinner.
And he likes her.
And Jake is like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to get to know her. And now with Jake, we see the absolute human being, you know, but when he's in command, you know, you see pieces. But he's standing there next to O'Brien. And O'Brien goes, oh, Godspeed, Jake, you know, good for you. And he goes, oh, no, Chief, I'm putting that to bed. And he goes, why, sir, why? And he goes, wait till your daughter is a teenager. Your daughter is 3. Yeah. This is a different thing. You know, it's like just that little bit says he knows about his personal life. You know, he knows things about him. And you know, at some point there's been a conversation. It's alluded to. And I just like that. And, you know, every single one of those officers at one point crossed a line and he turned it on. But as tough as he could be in the moment, he'll let it go, you know, afterwards. It's not like he's going to hold a grudge against you or something, you know, once the like in, what's the episode where they're trapped in the Dominion ship, the episode, The Ship, and Dax, they're all trapped in the ship and Dax is trying to joke around and keep the tension level down. And Sisko's having none of it. And he snaps at her and he goes, old man, maybe you haven't noticed, but nobody's laughing. And she got real serious. And she was like, okay, I see we're dealing with serious Sisko now. And and then the episode progresses, then he eases down. But he needed to make sure this isn't joking time, And it's little things like that that I like about him. Kirk would never have you over for dinner. I don't think you're ever going to get to know Kirk. I think Sisko lets you get to know enough of him to where you'll fight even harder for him. And I like that. I really do. I mean, all of those captains will use the whole ship's resources to save you if you're stuck on the planet, but there is something to be said, human nature. You want to know that person giving you orders at least knows something about you. You're not just a number. To Picard, you are just a number. He doesn't know anyone there. Okay, you've blown me off. I'm done.
I just like to say one thing.
Oh, Christ.
You're wrong. No, it's fine. No,
wrong.
I liked what you said. I like Sisko.
I like what you said. I just didn't like the points that you made.
I just didn't like any of it. No, I like Sisko. I love Deep Space Nine.
I know
of course
you do.
Of course I like Sisko. Come on, he's great. But Picard's style is. I think he inspires loyalty in a different way. And care
I'm not
in a
saying he
different way.
doesn't.
Well, you're kind of implying that.
No. I'm just saying he doesn't know his crew. He doesn't know them as people. He knows what they do, and he'll defend them till his last breath because he's the captain, and that's what you do. But he doesn't. Outside of the people on the bridge, he doesn't know you at all. I'm not saying you need to have hugs, but I'm just saying.
Well, it must be because you're needy and you need the
arguably so.
You need the attention. You need the acknowledgement.
Well, I would love to be on Pike's Enterprise. Pike, I'm feeling very unloved today. Let's all stop and talk about it.
Let's have a musical.
Yeah.
Sing about our feelings. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that wraps. I didn't have anything else to say about Minefield.
Well, we were in the middle of a second act, but that doesn't really matter. They get away. That's the point.
Well, I think we rewrote the parts we wanted to.
Yeah, I think we upped the pace.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did have some. I did have no awards per se.
Okay.
Did you have any
awards?
Yeah.
No. Unfortunately, these episodes are getting better.
Yeah.
There's less stuff to play with.
Unless we have some. Because our awards they're awarded kind of ironically.
They're ironic.
So I mean, maybe we should.
They're like golden Razzies.
Yeah, maybe we should develop some actual sincere awards.
Some sincere awards.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a sincere award to be given in this one? What about how about an award for willingness to self-sacrifice? There's got to be something for that.
Okay, how often do you think that's actually going to come up though?
What? Well, we have to name it for once. Surely it comes up more than once.
Leave
me behind. I'll save yourself.
Leave me to. We need a good name for that though.
What? Can you think of any notable instances where that's happened in Trek?
Oh, it has to be Star Trek. I was just thinking of anything.
Well, I mean,
from movies, TV.
We usually relate these to a person. The Geordie LaForge, Coco, no.
That's a good point.
Things like that.
That's a good point. The Spock sacrifices himself.
Well, I think that's the
Spock
granddaddy
award?
of them all.
The Spock Award for self-sacrifice.
No. Don't call it the Spock Award. Call it the Genesis device, the Genesis Award.
The Genesis Award?
Yeah, for self-sacrifice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's okay. So I guess we award that to Malcolm for this episode.
Okay. Yeah. Malcolm Reed
for the Genesis Award for self-sacrifice. Even though he didn't, but he was
willing.
I'm ready, Captain.
Yeah.
He was.
Or should we call it the Woody?
Oh, the Woody. I like the Woody. Nobody's gonna know what that is.
No, you gotta explain it. We have to explain it now.
Okay, well, I think we gotta call it the Woody now.
Okay.
Woody. When Justin cries Woody, you may not know this, but there was a movie called Mission to Mars. It's a very bad movie. Came out about 25 years ago.
Has
with
it
Gary.
been that long?
Maybe 20, 25.
Wow.
25. It's a while.
Yeah.
I was going to say Woody Harrelson. No, Gary Sinise, Tim Robbins. They go to Mars. Tim Robbins ends up having to kill himself to save the others. Basically,
yes and no. He did, but he's so far away from the rest of the crew
because they've ditched their
They're in space. They're literally in space.
They've gotten to
suits.
Mars, but their ship has been damaged. They've had to ditch it. They're in suits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Point is though, he's far away and he has no means of getting himself back.
Right. His thrusters are out of energy.
Right.
Or
and he knows, and so he's said, "That's it.
You can't retrieve me.
I'm unretrievable."
Yeah.
And his wife is part of the crew, and they're like, "No, we're going to come save you." And he sees them trying to save him, so he unlocks his space helmet and decompresses himself.
So they'll
save themselves
because she would have killed herself.
She would have killed herself trying
him.
to save him. Yeah,
yeah, and he knew that.
And it's Woody,
and she
Woody,
screams
no!
Woody when he undoes his helmet,
and he becomes.
He says,
I
love you, baby. I can't let you do it.
I love you forever.
Yeah. Psst. Get busy living, or get busy dying. Okay, so yeah, the Woody.
Yeah, the Woody Award.
Just call it the Woody.
The Woody. Yeah, we'll stick with it. The Woody.
Okay, so nothing else I'd like to award.
No, nothing really stuck out, honestly.
It was just a good episode.
Sure.
But I did have some. I did have. There's no worst lines. There's nothing bad in this episode. It was good. Best line. I think this is pretty obvious.
What?
No, you don't know what it is.
No.
Thank you, sir. Might have some more.
yeah. That is.
That was the best line. I think everyone would figure that out. There was. I do have a piece of trivia for you.
Oh.
Okay, so where is the question? I can't see it. I wrote it down. Okay, I'll just go off of memory. Okay, so at the start of the episode, Archer invites Malcolm to his cabin.
Eggs Benedict.
Fucking asshole. God damn it. Yeah, it was Eggs Benedict. All right, you're paying attention. Good job. You didn't fall asleep.
Well, I did, just not at that part.
Yeah, it was the start.
To be fair, you got me off of a day's work and 2 hours of training, so I was a little tired. It wasn't the episode's fault. I got a little drowsy.
So, what would you like to grade it?
Grade it? Let's see. What did we grade Carbon Creek?
I think we gave it an A+, both of us.
Did we do A+ or just an A?
I think it was an A+.
Was it? Maybe we did. I'm going to give this an A-.
Me too, A-.
Because the tension could have been ratcheted up a
Definitely.
bit. Yeah.
It was fair.
It's a good episode, but they could have
A-
would have
is a
done
good
well
grade.
to ratchet up the tension. Yeah.
And I think we went into that in the writer's room.
Yes.
And we addressed it.
Agreed.
Not to say that I didn't really like this episode.
No,
I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was
But if we're picking it apart,
yeah,
the second act could have stood with some tension building more than what they thought they had.
And I already know what we're getting next week. It's Dead Stop. Don't have to have you look that up, but it's Dead Stop. Dead Stop I already know is a good episode. So
yeah,
this is refreshing, you know. Getting past that first season, that was a bit rough, but second season so far has been smooth sailing.
I'm looking ahead a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know what's coming?
No, I still don't want to know.
Okay.
But the only reason I remembered it was Dead Stop, not because you just said it, but because the ship was damaged from that mine, and I knew they're going to have it repaired in the next episode.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, so am I. I haven't seen that episode in years.
That is one that I have rewatched.
I remember having rewatched it
because
a number of
it's
times.
quality. So.
And if I'm not mistaken, Roxanne Dawson directed that episode.
Oh, really?
And I'm pretty sure.
Alana Torres.
And she did the voice of the space station itself.
Did she?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, your command is not recognized. And that's her.
Yeah.
She has a good computer voice, actually. She does well with that.
That's right. And she also was the computer voice of in Voyager. Didn't she beam aboard like a sentient
the missile
torpedo missile thing and had her voice?
Yeah, but that was actually her, whereas this she tried to be a little more stilted,
monotone.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
they're even in Dead Stop, they're even repairing Reed's leg from being impaled.
Oh,
because Phlox had put like leeches or something.
That's right.
But they're stitching it up with like this robot technology.
That's right. You know. That's right.
Pretty cool.
But that is nice, though. I mean, I know we're getting into next week territory here, but they have to deal with the consequences of their ship's damage.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that's something that Voyager didn't address.
No, it never did.
Voyager is 60,000 light years away from Earth.
And they're always fine.
And they're always in good
week.
shape.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
you know?
that would have been a really
By the end
cool
of their
element.
journey, they should look like a hodgepodge of different things.
That thing should have crossed the finish line and fallen apart.
Immediately just...
We made it! Oh. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think we got it.
All right, I'll see you next week.
All right.